I'll start with personally. JG was like my best friend. When he left, I know a lot of people were upset and sad, but I actually shed a couple tears when I dapped him up and he left for the building for the final time. That was my guy, and so he was, a pivotal part of me coming here. And I thought the world of him. Professionally, that guy, I don't know if I learned more about D-line play than this past year that I was with him. He taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about teaching. Taught me a lot about patience and development. And truthfully, he was the rock or one of the main pieces that stood on the table for me to get this opportunity. And so, personally, professionally, I love that guy with everything in my body. But I definitely do miss him.
What, I guess, transitioning to you taking over the defensive tackles, what are similarities that you're going to keep in terms of how you coached them in the past with JG, or what might you do differently?
Yeah. I think where it really comes down to is scheme wise. And I thought our scheme last year was solid. I think our scheme this year is really, really good because it allows our guys to play with freedom. And I'm going to continue to be the same guy. I'm going to be energetic. I'm going to be out there yelling and screaming. I'm also going to encourage. That's just who I am. Techniques hadn't really changed much. Everything I learned from JG, I'll be doing the same things. And the great thing about that was that me and JG collaborated. And so if there were things that maybe I knew better or that he thought was a good idea for me, we would use those ideas. And so, we built it all together last year. And so it'll kind of be the same deal.
What's it like with Durkin here, this group together, and how has that been so far?
Durkin is awesome. That's probably the first thing I'll start with. He's awesome. When I got a chance to meet him for the first time, and he came in, he wanted to sit me down and he talked to me. He said, "Hey man, I know you're an analyst, but we're gonna count on you big time." That conversation went great. And then getting the opportunity to interview with him and did that interview, and he gave me the immediate feedback. He was another pivotal piece for me getting this job. And so Durkin has been awesome. I think our staff camaraderie has been great, specifically on the defensive side. He's a great leader. He's specific in his teaching, detailed in it. He coaches the coaches. He tells us exactly how he wants things done. And so make sure that we're all on the same page. And that's what's been really good about having him here.
You mentioned freedom. We heard from Freeze when he hired him. He said, look, this is a system that I feel like is easy to learn, easy to implement, and lets guys go play. Have you seen that already?
I have. I mean, when you go and you look at guys like Trill Carter or Gage Keys or even some of the younger guys like DJ Reed or Malik Blockton, they're able to make plays right now because it's just so simple. And it allows those guys to play with freedom. Now, we're going to teach them the techniques and the nuances of the defense and that you can't, mess up. But at the same time, like, we're not here to just take on double teams and stuff like that. We're going to go and we're going to make plays. And so I think, that's a pivotal piece, especially with getting guys to come in early and getting young guys to play now. When the system is tough, right, it's hard for incoming freshmen to learn it. It's just the truth of the matter. Like, it's hard for young guys to come in and play year one when it's a tough system. And I think that's probably one of the best things that we have.
You're kind of a yeller, but I feel on the practice field anyway.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like you're very positive. Is that a conscious decision you make to, hey, I'm going to pump these guys up rather than breaking them down?
So I've been coached by a lot of people, and I like to think that some of my coaching styles have been, a mixture of what I liked from some of my coaches and what I didn't like. I know that I ran through a brick wall for guys that believed in me and that, gave me positive feedback, and also guys that kept it real with me. And so, while I am encouraging at the same time, it's, sometimes tough love. But when I get on you, I'm going to love on you even harder. And so, that's really been my motto, and that's the way I like to coach.
How would you describe yourself as a recruiter, and then just what is your pitch to these recruits about Auburn?
Yeah, so this is a recruiter. Here's the thing about me. So the recruiting piece is very interesting. I'm going to be myself. I'm not going to sit here and try to sell anything. I'm not going to sit here and try to, be somebody I'm not. I'm going to be myself. And, at the end of the day, if the guys actually like you or that want to play for you, they're going to choose to do that. I'm not going to try to be anything else. And the biggest pitch right now for why Auburn is why not Auburn. Coming to play in D-line here at Auburn is a big deal. And if you look at the way we're building our classes, we're building through the high school ranks, which is not common. This past year, I think we signed one of the best D-line classes in the country. This year, we had, got some good things going, you know what I'm saying? And so we're trying to build it through the high school ranks and to make it sustainable so guys can play now, so guys can play right away. And so, that's really a big piece. But, why Auburn, why not Auburn?
You mentioned newcomers.
Yeah.
You mentioned a couple of those guys. What have you seen out of the transfer group, those older guys that you're counting on to kind of step in and bridge the gap a little bit?
I absolutely love Gage and I absolutely love Trill. Those guys have been, they have done some things that will put them in some good situations. Still got to fix some technique things, but those transfers have been, we've hit on those two transfers for sure. And so, of course, you're early in the spring, and so you got a small sample size. But with the small sample size that I have seen, those two have been consistent every single day. They've made plays every single day, and the best part about those two, though, is that they're coachable. You can coach them up on something, and they're going to work at it, and they're going to get it fixed. You don't have to tell those guys like 2, 3, 4 times, hey, we need to get this fixed. We need to work on this. You tell it to them, we go out and work it, and they get it fixed. And so we definitely hit on those two.
You meant second-year guys. There's always a big jump. You got
yeah.
two guys that weren't here in the spring, DJ and Bobby.
Yes.
How much have they changed, just bodies and everything from last summer to now?
Yeah, so I'll start with DJ. Super proud of him. DJ had, just a ton of off-the-field issues. And he also had, some deals where it translated to on the field. And so, just watching him now turn his life to a completely 360. He's doing better in the classroom. Just did an academic report. He's doing better in the classroom. He's also doing better now on the field. And so, he's done a great job so far. Getting better on the practice field. Still got to fix some technique things, but he's doing well. And then Bobby still got a ways to go. His body has changed. Been lingering some injuries, hamstring injury right now. But we're hoping that we can get that worked over and just get him to become a better player.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you got Zacchaeus in your room?
Yes, Zacchaeus. Yeah. So right now Zacchaeus is playing both end and tackle.
Okay.
And so I think for the next practice he'll be going some to end. But he's been doing better as well. And so, last year he was in a predominantly end role. This year with like I said, the freedom and things like that, he's able to come and play some 3-tech. And so he's doing better. And so, the double team is sometimes still a struggle for him. But he's getting better and working at his technique, and he's fighting. And so it's going to be he's going to end up being really good for us this year as well.
We heard Freeze talking about Jason and just trying to be a more consistent player. He's obviously got a lot of tools there. Just what have you seen from him kind of maybe rising up to that challenge as a veteran guy on this team now?
So here's the key part about Jason. He is the guy in my room that has the most SEC experience, most SEC snaps, and I tell Jason all the time, I am going to push you as hard as I can because he is a guy that can change a game. If he actually goes hard all the time and he plays with violence all the time, he can change a game. Like we've seen it. And so, we're still working on that. It's going to be a work in progress, but I'm encouraged by Jason. I love Jason. That's my guy. He's been, I worked with him a lot last year, and so, he's been awesome. And so I'm going to continue to push him. And I told him some days he ain't going to like me when I do it. But ultimately, it's for him and it's for the team.
How important is it to find that disruptor in the interior of a defensive line?
You guys have seen it a ton in the past. When you have a guy in the front, in the middle, that's hard to block, that can change a lot of different things. It can make, our DBs don't have to cover for long. And so I'm going to push him to get there, and I'm not going to stop until he get there. And so, it could be him. It could end up being Trill or Gage, but at the end of the day, like, I'm going to push, Jason. I told him I'm not going to stop. So just got to get it out of him.
Yeah, you mentioned Malik. I heard a lot about him, even in bowl practices, coming doing some of those things.
Oh, yeah.
What have you seen out of him as he's gotten in a conditioning program and gotten a chance to kind of build onto that?
So here's the exciting piece about Malik. He's a young Marcus. When you think about mentally in the game, Marcus made a lot of plays, and the reason why, like, Marcus will be the first one to tell you, he wasn't like extremely talented. He wasn't the best. Wasn't blessed with the best tools. But Marcus was a smart football player, and so I see some of those things in Malik. The great thing about Malik is that Malik is a bit longer. He's a little bit more athletic than what Marcus was, and so you get to see some of those things. Malik plays with his hands. He's been coached before. Comes from a great program. And so I'm excited to see what he turns into.
When you talk about the scheme having freedom to make plays on the defensive line, can you kind of go into that a little bit more with your defensive linemen?
Yeah, so, this year, I guess last year, when you look at some of the things that we did, it was a lot of, like, gap cancellations and, this and that. And so, but this year, we're two gapping. And so now, out of a 4 down front, if you're a 3 technique, you're responsible for now the B and the A, right? And so, make sure you take care of your gap first, but then also be able to take care of the A. We're not holding on to double teams. We want to press the double teams down the line of scrimmage, right, and then come off when the second guy leaves. Things of that nature. So, in some ways it is similar, like with some of the things that we're doing, but we're giving our guys some freedom and not to just hold on to double teams and things like that, and be able to make plays in the backfield.
If you're 2 gapping, you got to reprogram some of those guys a little bit, right?
Well, yeah, but the way we're doing it is we're playing a gap and a half. So that means, like, if I'm a B gap defender, you're aligned in the B gap, but now I can still play the A gap as well. And so, those are the principles really that me and JG taught last year. It just wasn't really in the scheme, but now we're doing that.
Is TJ a guy that's strictly outside? Is he going to switch back and forth a little bit like Zach?
Yeah. TJ's going to come inside as well. So we work together a good amount. The great thing about me and Coach Aldridge is that we worked together before. I was his GA at Liberty, and so TJ's going to be working, with both of us. And it's going to be a good deal for him because, like I told him, he has the NFL body type of a defensive tackle, and with his quickness and athleticism, he can change the game as well. And so just getting him to understand, learning both is great for you.
Yeah, how valuable is that you and Josh know each other so well? And you guys are intertwined now coaching.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. When I got announced and we ended up having an occasional meal, the D tackles and the D ends went over to his house, and I was over there playing with his kids because that's what I've always done, right? And so, it's a great feel. It's a great fit. We both gel well. Our chemistry is great, and it's ultimately important for the guys to see that as well. So,
as a recruiter, are there guys that kind of helped you along the way to teach you how to be a good recruiter? Or
yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah.
You got recruited yourselves.
Yeah. So it's funny when I started, when I was getting recruited. I started recruiting other guys when I was in high school, and so that's kind of really where it started. And when I was adopted by a guy named Jamal King, he told me, he was like, "Hey man, you're gonna be a football coach." And so I've learned a bunch of different things along the way. I've been around some great recruiters. Played for Frank Wilson. Been around Coach Freeze. Jeremy Garrett was probably the one of the guys that used the relational piece, and that's really how I describe my recruiting style is relational. I'm going to be who I am, and we're going to build a relationship. But yeah, I just try to take things that I see from everyone and kind of make it my own.
Speaking of recruiting, where do you like to recruit? Obviously,
Oh yeah.
Understood. Outside of there, where do you feel most comfortable? Which states?
Man, so as far as comfortability, I've recruited the city of Atlanta. I've done the state of Florida. Of course, Detroit. Justin Rogers was one of the guys that I knew before. And then, my hometown, Chicago. Now I know that's up north, right? But those are the places that I've done before. And now, I'm telling you one thing, I've learned something. Football is different down here now. And I'm just telling you, like, it is awesome. And but really, you know, wherever the best D tackles are, that's where I'm going.